Welcome back, Trailblazers. Today we're diving deep into Anaxa's leaked kit, his abilities, mechanics, and whether he's worth pulling for. But before we get started, a quick disclaimer. These details are based on leaks and are not official. Things may change before release, so take everything with a grain of salt. Now let's get into it. Anaxa is shaping up to be one of the most unique Wind Air Edition units we've seen. His playstyle isn't just about dealing damage, it's about manipulating enemy weaknesses, extending combat control, and maximizing synergy with multi-hit mechanics. If you love big crit numbers, AoE burst damage, and strategic team setups, Anaxa is looking like a very strong pick. His basic attack is straightforward, just a wind DMG strike, but don't underestimate it. Since his talent interacts with every hit he lands, even a simple attack can contribute to his overall gameplay loop. The skill, though, is where things start getting interesting. Deals AoE wind DMG and triggers extra hits to random enemies. This means more shield breaks, more multi-target pressure, and more chances to activate his talent effects. If you've ever felt frustrated by an enemy barely holding onto their shield, Anaxa might just be the solution. Now, his ultimate? That's a game changer. Doesn't just deal wind DMG to all enemies, it delays their actions and applies a special status that makes them take bonus wind damage whenever they're hit. This means the more attacks your team lands, the more damage Anaxa squeezes out. Pair him with follow-up attackers? That's devastating. Then there's his talent, and this is what sets him apart from other units. Anaxa has the ability to apply new weaknesses to enemies that they didn't have before. This is huge because it completely changes how you approach battles. Ever struggled with enemies that resist your main DPS's element? Anaxa can potentially fix that problem by adding the right weakness for your team to exploit. And his secret technique gives him a head start before combat even begins, letting him immediately match weaknesses to his advantage. The way everything comes together makes Anaxa feel like a true battlefield manipulator. His multi-hits, action delay, and weakness manipulation give him a flexible playstyle that works across multiple team comps. And let's not forget his traces, which make him even stronger. Trace 1 effect hit rate converts into crit rate, meaning you're building for utility and damage at the same time. Trace 2 enemies take more damage based on how many weaknesses they have, which perfectly synergizes with his talent. Trace 3 hitting enemies with 7 weaknesses unlocks an enhanced skill that bounces extra times and doesn't consume skill points. That's free damage with insane scaling potential. With all these mechanics working together, Anaxa isn't just about raw numbers. He's about controlling the fight and setting up huge break combos. With the way his kit works, he's a natural pick for teams focused on shield breaking, AoE control, and crit-heavy strategies. His ultimate's action delay gives your team an advantage, while his weakness application can make certain fights much easier. That said, his RNG-based weakness application might not always work in your favor, but given how often he attacks, the odds of getting the right weakness improve over time. There's also the question of whether he needs his signature light cone. While it boosts crit DMG, applies vulnerability, and restores energy, he can still function well without it, but having it will definitely push him to his full potential. If you enjoy high-damage AoE nukers who bring utility, battlefield control, and synergy-driven mechanics, Anaxa is looking like a must-pull. But if you prefer characters with more predictable kits and direct burst damage, you might want to think twice. It's still too early to say whether he'll be meta-defining, but one thing is clear. He's bringing something fresh to the game. So, what do you think? Is Anaxa going on your wishlist, or are you saving your stellar jades for someone else? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed the breakdown, drop a like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more updates. See you next time, Trailblazers.